Update. Am I the a-hole for not telling my girlfriend I was going to break up with her if she went on vacation with male friends? Original post. Basically, my girlfriend went on vacation with her male friends. I told her this made me uncomfortable and didn't want her to go. By the way, she used to hook up with one of them before she met me. She told me it'd be fine and that they're like brothers to her. I already made a decision to break up with her right there and then, but I wanted to get my stuff from her place before anything, and I figured I should do that while she's gone. I also didn't want to break up over a text or a call, so I waited for her to come back. I picked her up when she came back, dropped her off, and gave her the key to her place and broke up. She started crying, and she figured out it was because of the vacation. She kept saying that nothing happened. I told her she knew I wasn't comfortable with this, and she still went. She mentioned that I should have said that I'd break up with her if she went, and that if she knew, she never would have gone. I told her I didn't want to be controlling and threaten her with ending the relationship. We kept going back and forth over this for a while. Now for the comments, most are stupid, before reading the update. Also, this kind of stuff is why women are tempted to lie when a date/partner asks if they are friends with exes, or if they've slept with their male friends, etc. She was 100% honest with you, and got dumped for it with zero discussion. And to those saying trust needs to be built up, this is how you do that. By trusting her in this situation and seeing how it goes. Also, what the F was she supposed to do? Call up her friends and say, "Sorry, I can't come. My boyfriend is worried I'll sleep with you." Or lie to them to protect your insecurities? No, she was not. She only told me because I saw a picture of them kissing. You're the a-hole. You said you were uncomfortable. You decided to dump her when she didn't do what you wanted, which you never explicitly asked her to. So basically, because she didn't read your mind, you did not state a boundary. If you X, then I will Y because I need to take care Z need. She dodged a bullet at least. She's better off with someone less insecure. Downvote me all you want, but the fact this is so normal in straight culture will never cease to be weird to me. I can't imagine dumping my girlfriend because she went on a vacation with her male friends, even if she'd hooked up with one of them in the past. I'd be like, hell yeah, girl. Have a great time. Take lots of pictures. Can't wait to talk when you get back. Good for you for being so secure, but we all draw the line at different places. I drew the line somewhere before you did. It's my choice. Simple as that. You calling me insecure is that same thing as someone in an open relationship calling you insecure for not letting your partner mess around. Not the a-hole. You enforced your boundaries. The consequences for boundaries don't always need to be explained, as all situations are different. Exactly, this is the true definition of boundaries. You expressed what you're not willing to put up with, and then follow through. If y'all have different values, so be it. Not the a-hole. You'd be toast too if it was the other way around. I agree. As a woman, I would certainly not like it at all if my husband did this, and I would never even ask to do this. When you're in a relationship, you don't do things that make them uncomfortable, as he put it. Why would you want to hang around other men without your man there? Strange. Not the a-hole. You had a reasonable boundary and you didn't force it into a scenario where she could resent you over it. You enforced the boundary and broke up in a reasonable way. I don't know about that. I'm pretty sure she still resents me over it. Cost of doing business, my friend. Is there ever a breakup when both people are happy? She wanted to have her cake and eat it too. Edit. A lot of y'all are assuming an awful lot here. Most of you are cool, but to give you a bit more context, 1, she never actually introduced me to these friends. Even though I mentioned I wanted to meet them, she kept making excuses. 2, she never told me she used to hook up with her friend. I only found out because I found an old picture of them kissing when she was showing me some old travel pictures. 3, I was okay with her friendship until now. This was just too much for me. Most of y'all are cool, but I swear, some of y'all act like cheaters don't exist. Did she cheat on me? Who knows? But at this point, I was sick of doubting. Now for the update. Hello everyone. My post got a lot of attention. I responded to a few comments and even edited it. So I figured I should update you all. Her male friend reached out to me on Instagram, the one she used to hook up with. He asked if I was dating my ex, and I told him what happened. He actually apologized. He said he didn't know that we were still dating. He said that my ex was talking mad trash about me, and he was confused. Apparently, my ex-girlfriend told him we broke up months ago, and they have been hooking up regularly since. Yes, including the trip. The guy even showed me some pictures of the two of them kissing during the trip. So that explains why she never wanted me to meet them. So all my suspicions were correct. The guy actually seemed like a decent guy. He apologized a lot for what he did. I don't hold any resentment towards him, and I'm glad that I got confirmation that I made the right decision. So to all of you who supported me, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And one last comment to some of you. My insecurity kept me from wasting any more of my time. You felt something was wrong, and unfortunately you were right. Always trust your gut. Glad you got out. Exactly. Had a feeling my ex was banging someone else but denied it and made me feel like an idiot for months. Finally, I reached out to the guy I thought she was with. He had no idea we were married and confirmed all my suspicions. She was angry, I called him, and told me she was going to tell me. Trust your gut. I had a guy come talk to me in my car after I knew he had gotten dropped off from his job late one night. He could see something was troubling me. He's real religious. And so after asking him if he believes in God and if he can see everything we do, I had a long dramatic pause and looked him in the face and asked him point blank, "Did she kiss you or did you kiss her?" I had no proof other than my gut, and I was half expecting to hear denials or that my instincts were off. I felt my heart drop into my gut when he quickly answered, "She kissed me." I had no proof or anything, just a gut feeling. And I had to trick this guy into telling me the truth. Trust your gut. I hope the dude dumps her. Sounds like that was probably the next step, seeing as he apologized to OP. As a rhetorical question, would it have killed her to just break up with OP? People who act like this are baffling. She liked having the best of both worlds, without both worlds getting to know each other. This feels like that deep breath you take on a cold winter evening. It's already dark and there's snow all around. You inhale. It's fresh. It smells like pine with a strong scent of burnt wood. You sense renewal. It is reinvigorating. The insecurity police on this forum are delusional. I mean, they are strong just behind Reddit. In real life, they're perfect losers. I got just flamed today for saying I would divorce my wife if she went to a romantic concert with just her boss. It's baffling. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my ex see our kid and saying that she has a mom that wasn't her? I, 26 male, had my daughter Belle, 5 female, with my ex Jade, 26 female, 5 years ago. We were fresh out of college. She had just moved into my apartment with me and just starting our careers. When we found out that we were going to have a baby, Jade seemed excited and was planning right alongside me for when Belle was going to be born. But 7 months into her pregnancy, Jade decided that she didn't want to be a mother to Belle, saying it would just slow down the progress of her career and she wouldn't be where she wanted to be in life. I'll admit that I did argue with her about this because Jade wanted to put Belle up for adoption and I didn't want that due to my own past with my adopted parents. We eventually agreed that Jade would void her parental rights to Belle without going through the courts to do so. After this, Jade and I broke up, with her living at her parents' place for the remainder of her pregnancy. When Jade finally gave birth, she only signed a birth certificate and never held or fed our daughter. Jade moved away to the other side of our state and blocked me wherever she could. My daughter's maternal grandparents did send money to help support Belle, but they stopped after Jade asked them to. My now fiancé, Ashley, 27 female, had stepped in after she heard what happened between Jade and I. Ashley wasn't exactly a friend of Jade's, more like an acquaintance. Ashley had really helped me out throughout the first year of my daughter's life. We didn't start off dating right off the bat. We were friends, and things just sort of happened. Belle calls Ashley Mama, and it's been that way since she could speak. We just got engaged last year. 2 days ago, Jade had reached out to me over the phone, and didn't ask but demand to see our daughter. Jade had said she matured since Belle was born, and was ready to have a co-parenting relationship with me. I was in shock, and it didn't register to me what my ex was saying until she told me Belle deserves to be with her real mother. That snapped me out of it, and angered me, since Ashley had essentially been in Belle's life since she was born. That led me to telling her that she wouldn't be seeing our daughter ever, if I could help it, and that Belle had a mom. That certainly wasn't her. Jade started crying after I said that, so I hung up on her. The few mutual friends we have got told by her what I said and have taken her side, saying that I had no right to keep Belle from her and that I was being too cruel. Now I feel guilty over what I told her, and I'm wondering if I'm the a-hole for saying that to her. Edit. To clarify, we just had a verbal agreement that Jade wouldn't be involved in Belle's life as a mother, which is what I meant when saying that she avoided her rights, but we didn't go through the courts to do so. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. If she truly wants to be a part of Belle's life, she can start with catching up on back child support. Then, and only then, would I even consider it a possibility. The thing is, when we agreed that my ex would avoid her parental rights to Belle, it included not popping out of the blue and demanding to co-parent her. Law 101. If it's not on the record, it didn't happen. True, But the way to make her stop popping up to demand a co-parent is to threaten her with back child support. That may successfully make her go away. Not the a-hole. He messed up by not going through the courts when she was born. She's legally the mother. You need to go file for full custody right now. Go get a lawyer. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that I can't do this anymore after he quit his job to work with his mother? We are due to have our daughter in 2 weeks and planned ahead of time so I can stay home for a year with her while I'm nursing. We saved around $26,000 plus took into consideration that at his job, he was making $3,000 a month, $23 hourly. Our bills for the year came out to around $46,000. Since we got pregnant, his mom has been super overbearing with a boy mom BS. She's been trying to force her way into our lives in ways that I'm not okay with, like trying to convince us to buy a house with her so she can help raise her baby's baby. My husband actually considered this and I shut it down immediately. Has been stopping in whenever she feels like it, with stuff for him and him only. Like she literally brings him food, 1 serving, only enough for him, around dinner time, probably 2 to 3 days a week, saying, I just know you miss mama's cooking. Keeps buying him mom plus son jewelry, knowing he won't wear jewelry and tells me he will wear it. It's mom and son thing. You wouldn't understand when I tell her he's not going to wear it as he hasn't worn any of it. She is 100% treating him like he is her husband, calling him to go do things for her all hours of the day/night, and all around just trying to get him out of our house and over to hers. On the off chance that he does go over, she's all like, since you're here, I will let you treat me to a mom and son date at Denny's. Or when she's here, she will look at me and tell me how she takes her coffee and expect me to make it for her. I know I'm rambling, but this woman is freaking crazy. And no, she was not like this prior to me getting pregnant. They barely spoke before I got pregnant. As soon as she found out we were having a baby, she sunk her claws in, with a whole my baby isn't a baby anymore BS. We are literally in our 30s. So if all sense wasn't insane enough, she's been trying to convince my husband for at least 3 months to quit his job of search and rescue and go work with her so they can spend more time together. She works at a medical rehab facility. I told him I won't tolerate that for one reason. It's $13 an hour, $10 less than an hour that he makes now. I've talked reason with him. Like if he goes there, I will end up having to go back to work. Because $13 an hour cuts his monthly income in half, just about. And this is not what we agreed to or planned for. Not only that, but her job is bi-weekly pay and doesn't have benefits for a year. He had full benefits at his job. He told me he didn't want to work with his mom and not to worry about it. About 2 months ago he said that. But I just found out last night that he did, in fact, quit his job and applied at the place his mom works and bypassed the interview process because mommy vouched for him. So now he has a job with her. I wasn't nice about it when he told me admittedly. I asked him why the heck he would do that. And he goes, well, my mom is getting older and she wanted me to work with her so we can hang out more before she passes. She's literally 61 and healthy. I slept on it and decided I couldn't do this. I told him this morning that I couldn't do this. I'm not going to be overruled by a woman who refuses to stay in her lane. I'm not going to bow down to a mama's boy or a woman who grossly won't leave her son alone. He can do it on his own, and we can do this separately. I told him I will take the money I saved, $23,000 of the $26,000, and figure it out on my own, and that he needs to leave and go back to sucking mama's tit at her house. He, for whatever reason, is shell-shocked that I'm taking it this far, and says I'm an a-hole for not understanding that his mother getting older and wanting to spend time with him should be important. I'm not budging though. He's allowing her to destroy our lives. Edited to add, I want to touch base on finances real quick for the people commenting being a single mom is going to be great. If he was to leave and we get divorced, my bills would reduce at least 1/4, if not more. I've been helping him pay off his student loan debt for 5 years, and the price keeps increasing so there's no end in sight. With the $23,000 that I saved, I could pay for my home and bills for a year and a half. When I add his bills and his debt to the equation, it won't even cover a year. I'm not afraid of single motherhood. He would be involved regardless if we separate as well. Also, we signed a prenup. I owned a house long before we started dating. I withdrew my $23,000 from the bank and put it in my personal. I already spoke to an attorney and I made it clear to do so because I have a paper trail in what was mine versus what was his. I'm an accountant. Numbers and money is kind of my specialty. I have it all handled legal-wise. Not the a-hole. He has a family. That should be his first priority. By taking this new job, he's putting his family in financial burden. Mommy also needs to step back. She feels like she's gonna lose her son, but that's no excuse. He just quit his job, the job with benefits. She is about to give birth, and he took 43% pay cut and lost his benefits. If they are in the US and she was on his insurance, he just completely scrapped her health insurance for the birth of their child. Did he get in an accident and lose half his brains? That is absolutely insane. I could not have said it better. Who takes a huge pay cut right before the baby comes? WTH. Student loans, a smaller paycheck, and no second income. He's going to end up living with mommy. And that's before we figure in child support. Not the a-hole. Who the heck thinks it's a good idea to take a 50% pay cut with a baby on the way? Sorry, but your husband is a moron and a mama's boy. He thought that Opie was firmly enough on the hook, carrying his baby and all, that Opie wouldn't dare to take the leap to safety, leaving him behind. He didn't consider that he was the beneficiary of the bulk of monthly expenses. So cutting him loose would be a net gain for Opie. He chose poorly. Yeah, he tried and failed to rub his two brain cells together. It's really kind of sad to see this pattern again and again. I am, however, really happy that OP is doing the right thing and not caving to his unreasonable pressure.
Update. Girlfriend's best friend demanded a breakup with her so he could date her. Original story. Title says most of it. My girlfriend has a friend we'll call not really friend, NRF. NRF has obviously had a thing for my girlfriend for a long time, but she told him firmly that they're just friends. Well, she was engaged to her last boyfriend, and NRF was obviously very upset about this. Then the boyfriend cheated on my girlfriend, and somehow the event was recorded on his cell phone and anonymously sent to my girlfriend. They broke up, and NRF immediately started making moves on my now girlfriend, but my girlfriend got on plenty of fish and met me. NRF was absolutely livid about this. It was immediately hostile towards me. Finally, last night he messaged me and demanded I break up with my girlfriend so he could date her because they were meant to be together. That I'm abusive. I'm not. And on and on. I showed my girlfriend a message, and she was at loss. I told her that we can't continue if NRF is in the picture, but I'm pretty sure he set up her ex to cheat on her so he could move in. She's not sure what to do, but I'm firm. Should I break up with her if she refuses to cut NRF out of our lives? Now for the top advice before reading the update. You're right here, to be honest. Sucks for her, but NRF sounds like he's not right in the head and potentially dangerous. I would have the same expectations as you in your position. She needs to cut him off completely if she wants a chance at a healthy relationship with anyone. He's waving his true colors at her. Good luck. Great points. I hope it's good that he told her you can't stay together if she's still friends with him. Try to talk to her again from the point of her safety. He really does sound like he could get dangerous. You care about her as a person, not just as your girlfriend. Even if you were just friends, you wouldn't want to worry about this guy around her. Y'all are too old for this kind of drama. Yes, break up with her if she refuses to cut this predatory creep dude out. Tell me about it. I feel like I'm back in high school. It's only the tip of the drama iceberg if she keeps relationships like that alive. That fact that she's not sure what to do speaks volumes. Should be an easy decision. She's always felt sorry for him. I think that's why she let him hang around rather than any real friendship. Why does she feel sorry for someone who is aggressively interfering in her relationships? He's not some poor little puppy. He's a disrespectful jerk who doesn't care about what she feels or wants and will stumble over boundaries to get what he wants. Either she's extremely naive or she enjoys the attention. At 37, my money is on he enjoys the attention. And now for the update. Long story short, she cut him off, blocked him and everything, and told him to forget she existed. We talked about it, and she decided she was done with him after she realized that she'd do this no matter who she dated. She thought she could just ghost him and he'd give up after getting no response. Well, after a couple of days of him spamming her phone alternatively with professions of love, and demands she call the police to have me arrested for mistreating her, she had enough and texted him the above. She did it through text, so there would be a record of what was said so he couldn't claim she said things she didn't. He went predictably crazy, but she stuck to her guns. He messaged her from an alternative account and said he was going to end himself if she didn't break up with me and get with him. Her last response ever to him was, "It's sideways for attention, long ways for results." Yes, it's childish, but she figured he was being a child, so she threw that out there. She'd never been mean to him before, but it seemed to work. She hasn't heard from him since. I checked, he's not dead. He's posting on another forum about the evil man who kept him from his true love and how he'll never be happy. It is all my fault, so I consider this a win. Also, in one of his last messages, he accused me of using witchcraft to seduce her. He's from a very conservative Christian family that believes in that sort of thing. He was always inviting her to church. She's not religious at all. Maybe he decided God wanted them to get married or something. Sorry there's not more, but that's all I'm comfortable sharing. Dude, anyone who would say this to a stalker, her last response ever to him was it's sideways for attention, long ways for results, should never be trifled with. Marry her. I can't. I'm too busy summoning demons to seduce more women to my dark cause. Look for my next thread. An incubus stole my girlfriend. What do I do? In a couple of weeks. Don't forget to use plenty of salt in your protective circle. Seriously though, you and your lady should continue to be careful for some time yet. This guy has invested way too much time and energy into his delusions for this to be the end. He might be quiet now, but he'll probably resurface somehow, somewhere. They usually do. If you both don't have security cameras at home, I suggest that you get some. I do, and she's getting some. She's sure he'll pop up again after a while to see if we're still together. She doesn't do social media, so he'll have a hard time following her online. Just put the word out to her friends that he knows about not to give him any information. Any tips on witchcraft stuff? Asking for a friend. Seriously now, good thing she saw reality for what it was. As others have said, be careful for the foreseeable future, and keep the records of his rants in case a restraining order is needed. One thing you might want to consider, if he threatens self-harm again, call 911. Get him picked up on a psychiatric hold. Show him that you don't mess around with self-harm threats. My friend Sam was dating a woman who locked herself in the bathroom and threatened to end herself because he was trying to break up with her. So he called 911. She overheard him and came out of the bathroom saying she didn't mean it. She got to spend 48 hours at the hospital because Sam does not mess around with self-harm threats. I've known several people who ended themselves. Self-harm threats are nothing to take lightly, ever. Good for your friend. Last story is titled, Update. Found out husband 25 male has been cheating on me 24 female, and I haven't told him yet. Original story. I'm totally shaking right now and my mind is numb. So if this doesn't make any sense, please keep that in mind. Husband 25 male and I 24 female have been married for a year and a half. We celebrate our second anniversary in February. We knew each other since college, and he's always been a good husband and partner. Weirdly enough, lately he was even more attentive than usual, and honestly it felt great to have a partner who wanted you so much, and I didn't have the slightest clue that it might even be a lie. I wouldn't have even suspected anything, but about a week ago I asked to use his phone to call my parents who live in another country, as his phone plan has international free minutes. But he refused, saying he used them all up. When I asked to check how many are left, he got frustrated as he was playing on his PS5 and just wanted to play in peace. I shrugged it off as stress, but something in the back of my mind was telling me to look into this further. For the next few days, every time I would ask to see his phone, he would get defensive. The other day he did hand me his phone, but hovered over me the whole time, then snatched it right away saying he needed it for work. Mind you, I only asked for it to use his PayPal account. I didn't even go near any of his social media apps. I'll admit my curiosity got the best of me, while acting like I was scrolling through my phone to take note of his passcode. It took a while, but I finally got it. The only time the phone isn't on him is when he's asleep. So last night I took it and started searching. To his credit, I found nothing in his contacts or his latest chats to suggest he was having an affair. But once I checked the archives in his WhatsApp, it was all there. He's cheating on me with a co-worker. One I've met many times, and she would have been the last person I would suspect. She is married, 38 years old, and has a 12-year-old daughter. I feel disgusted reading all of their chats. I felt like I was going to throw up. But the biggest punch in the gut was when he told her that he loved her. She's out on vacation and he told her, I can't wait to see you. And I wish your husband wasn't there so I could pick you up from the airport and hug you. Honestly, I feel numb. My heart has been shattered into a million pieces this morning. When he was leaving, I told him I was sick and couldn't get up. He asked if he needed to take me to the doctor, to which I just said I'll ask my friend to take me, and he left. I don't know how to talk to him about this. A part of me wants answers, But another part of me wants to believe this isn't real and to save my marriage. But what is there to save if he's already told this woman he loves her? I feel so many things. So much anger, resentment. Yet I'm utterly crushed and I have been second-guessing myself. Did I go wrong anywhere? I know I shouldn't think like this, but I can't help myself. I don't know how to go forward with this. He's going to be back home in a few hours. I thought about breaking everything in the house so he could see how he broke our home, then thought of leaving without telling him, but I want answers as well. I seriously don't know what to do here. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Call a lawyer. Show him what you have. This is a situation which requires a clear head and a steady hand. I do have screenshot, but I'll be honest, you telling me to call a lawyer was like being hit by a ton of bricks. I don't know if I can go through with this, let alone a steady hand. Don't say anything to him. He will only deny or blame you. I know this is a massive shock, but you will never be in a stronger position with him than you are now. Get STD tested ASAP. People don't just wake up and turn into cheaters. The cheating you know about is usually just the tip of the iceberg. Contact a divorce attorney, gather all the information he tells you to, and then serve him with papers. Check out the Chump Lady website. Good luck. We don't live in our home country. Shouldn't I have to fly back there as that's where we got married to do all this? Tell her husband. She deserves to have her own life blown up as well. It's called consequences. He needs consequences too. Don't bury this and play the pick-me dance. That never works. Oh, I'm trying to get hold of her husband, and basically what I've been doing all day. So far, all I've got is an Instagram account which doesn't seem active. Do not say a word until you've spoken to an attorney and got yourself sorted. Then talk to the husband and let him get his affairs in order before you blow the lid off. Edit. Hi guys, I'm currently on a plane back home. I have major motion sickness on planes, so I can't look at phone screens for too long, but I just wanted to inform you guys that I talked to my husband. The short version is, he's also on the next flight back home. We lived in an Islamic country and adultery is a crime, for which he could be jailed for months if the husband files a report on him. So obviously he was more worried about himself than our marriage. Currently, I don't feel anything for him, not even anger. I think I'll get my things sorted out after I've thought things over a few days. Thanks for all the support and well wishes. Truly, you all have been amazing. And now for the update. First off, I want to apologize for not properly replying everyone and going missing in action. I still have many unread chats and replies on a post, which was locked by the time I could get around to it. It's been a hectic few days for me, to say the least. While still answering all of you, the husband of the affair partner replied to my DM. I had sent him a simple, "Hi, can you please reply to this, it's kind of important." And while his profile seemed inactive, he surprisingly replied quite quickly. I got to the point so I wouldn't chicken out, and told him how his wife and my husband are having an affair. Explained to him they work together and sent him the screenshots of the WhatsApp chat. Reminding you I had yet to confront my own husband with everything, as he hasn't arrived from work yet, and there was a good few hours before he usually arrived home. I guess the husband might have confronted his wife. And through her, my husband found out, but it was obvious he knew because that night didn't arrive at his usual time. I was thinking of packing up everything and leaving without telling him to begin with, but I guess I wanted answers from him as to why he'd do this to me. When it dawned on me that this man is a coward and I should just leave for my own betterment, I booked a flight back home and left for the airport before he even arrived home. I was waiting for the results of my COVID test at the airport when he called me asking where I was, and I told him. Part of me wants to laugh at what happened next, and part of me wants to cry. Not even in my wildest dreams would I have dreamt of the scenario. He tells me to wait for him and we'll take the next flight after this one together. I ask him why would I even consider waiting for him, and he tells me it's all because of my stupidity. As we lived in an Islamic country, adultery is a crime punishable by at least a few months up to a year. So if her husband files a report, he could end up in jail. He basically orders me to stay put, and that we'll talk when he arrives at the airport. I flat out tell him I'm leaving, and that he knows about the law and I didn't. He should have thought twice before sleeping with someone else's wife. After that, I turned off my phone and boarded my flight a few hours later. Now I'm back home, and everything is slowly sinking in. It's apparent my marriage can no longer go on. I have no love left for the man who, instead of apologizing or at least faced me, ended up telling me, "How could you?" and turned me into the bad guy. His parents have even accused me of ruining their son's career, as his boss fired him at his AP when he found out, and even blacklisted him. So now he can't get another work visa for that country. Also because he left in such a hurry, many things were left unresolved, like we had paid a whole year's rent in advance and still had a few months in the lease. And also things like the furniture and monthly bills. So now he's scrambling trying to get his friends to suspend everything and sell off the furniture, and his parents are angry at the amount of stress I've caused their son. Thankfully, my parents, most of our friends, and even most of his family are on my side and agree he's the one who screwed up. Many of you suggested I do something to get revenge, but honestly, none of this was my intention. Neither do I get any happiness from it. I also have zero intention of wanting anything out of the divorce. I can earn my own money, and there's nothing he can give me that will make the pain and heartbreak I've felt these past few days any better. I'm not shaming people who do seek alimony. I'm just saying I prefer to sever all ties and finish this off as soon as possible. I want to move on with my life and have already reached out to my old employer for joining the company, to which they told me I could return whenever. Plus, I'm reconnecting with all old friends I missed while living abroad. Husband has hinted me he wants to talk and maybe even consider reconciling, but I've made a strict only talk to my lawyer rule and made it clear that is not happening ever. I don't know if this is a good update, but this is the current reality. My divorce might take a while, maybe even up to a year, as judges usually will give couples a few months if one person seeks reconciliation and isn't willing to have an uncontested divorce. So for now, this man is still legally my husband, but emotionally he is currently a complete stranger to me. I thank all of you for the love and support. The advice you all gave was really great. Thanks to all of you, I'm currently lawyered up and all contact is through him. Screw him. Good for you, OP. Sorry this happened. Stick to your guns. Better yet, don't screw him. It only communicate via lawyers. All the best for you, OP. Sounds like you are in a good place and there is no need for revenge on your ex-husband. He has created a very large mess all by himself. It will take time for you to process all. Talk with family, friends, tell them everything. Have the best life going forward. His parents are angry at the amount of stress I've caused their son. The amount of stress he caused himself and you. Make sure to always stress how this is 100% his fault. And no one's fault but his. He deserves everything he's getting and more. He's the freaking moron who lost his wife and job so he could get his dick wet. Knowing it was a crime. Knowing all the consequences. No mercy on that guy. None at all. His parents have even accused me of ruining their son's career, as his boss fired him at his AP when he found out. It even blacklisted him, so now he can't get another work visa for that country. So it had nothing to do with him sleeping with another man's wife in a country where adultery is illegal and punishable by law? The apple really doesn't fall far from the tree. Imagine the horror of these people being grandparents to your kids. Thank God you dodged that bullet. I'm currently lawyered up and all contact is through him. Well done. You're going to be fine. Update. Am I the a-hole for assuming I'd inherit my mother's house? Original story. My female 20s mother raised me and my sister 20s as a single parent in a single income household. We've rented our whole lives and grew up low middle class. We never went without food or other essentials, but didn't have the luxuries of many wants. I started investing when I was 17 through my mother, and have been somewhat successful through it. I have accumulated enough money to afford a down payment on a house in our neighborhood/city. I have decided to pursue a second degree at college to further my career/job opportunities, and currently have a part-time job which is not enough to support a mortgage. I currently rent with a roommate. Me and my mother have an extremely good relationship, and I used to joke growing up that when I'm older and have money, I'd buy a house and let her live with me so she doesn't have to worry about her living situation/a mortgage/paying rent when she's older. I told my mother about my plan to buy a house and pitched the idea that I'd give her the money as a down payment and should pay the mortgage. She has a very stable job now and can afford to keep up on a mortgage. The down payment was the issue, as she didn't have enough saved to afford our city. She didn't want to feel burdened to me, but I really want to do this for her. I would move in and contribute some money to rent for utility/mortgage. It's a beneficial situation for both of us. Eventually, in 20 plus years, when my mom retires or whenever she wants to retire, I should have a stable career and be able to take over the remainder of her mortgage, if she still had one. We all agreed on this, and both extremely excited about starting the process. I was fine with the house being in my mother's name, but this is where the conflict came up. When I agreed for it to be in my mother's name, it was because I'd still be able to live there, would inherit it in the future, and it would eventually be in my name anyway. My mother disagreed and said she would leave it to both me and my sister 50-50. I didn't understand as my sister was not contributing financially to this house while I was. I told my mother that I would not give her the money for a down deposit if I didn't solely inherit it in the future. She called me selfish for making her leave my sister with nothing, but I disagree. My sister has never had much focus or priority on her future or career. It is quite materialistic. She hardly saves, and has a boyfriend who she'll 98% marry eventually and have children with. I personally want to be child-free, and knowing my sister, she'll believe she's more deserving as she will have a family. Also, if she knew about my mother and I were buying a house but still inheriting it in the future, there is a 0 chance she'd save for her own place. She'd wait till our mother passed and assume she'd be able to move in. Am I the a-hole for demanding/assuming I'd inherit my mother's house? Edit. Sorry for not clarifying. I'd be paying the deposit plus at least 40% of the mortgage over time. My bank denied my application for a loan. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Tough call, to be honest. But why don't you save yourself the headache and put the house in your name and charge your mom rent? Thank you for the advice. Honestly, I never considered that. I just wanted her to have the security of knowing she owned a house. Something she'd always talked about as we grew up. I might have a talk with her about this option though. I think this would be the best option. She still has security, but you retain ownership. I would never put money into a house without it being in my name. I don't care if your mother agrees with you on everything today. She can change her mind at any time, and God knows what her will says if she has one. I wholeheartedly trust her, but now I'm reconsidering not having my name on a deed. She just knows more about these sorts of things, and I figured it would be easier. Don't trust her. This is a huge investment. Put your name on the house, even if she swears she will leave you the house in full eventually. If you don't get your name on the deed, you will regret it. Not stay home. Wait until you can fully afford a home in your name, then buy your home and allow mom to move in. My mom wants to buy a house now and is already looking 3 hours plus outside of the city. She wants to stay in the city but is financially scared about not owning a house at her age. I'm now seriously considering buying a house in my name, but don't think I'm as desirable to the bank for a loan as my mother is, as I'm still in school. And now for the update. To start this off, I have decided to not purchase a house at this moment. I sat down to talk about this decision with my mom and gave the following requests that would make me comfortable with purchasing a house with her. 1. Both our names would be on a deed/mortgage with a joint tenancy. This would mean that when either of us passed, it would automatically be passed on to the other and not counted as estate. This was the one I liked best. 2. I donate a portion of the down deposit, not all, and consider it a gift. 3. After discussing with an estate lawyer and financial advisor, we do it in a very legal way with signed documents and everything, dictating my percentage, my mother's, maximum payoff my sister could receive if I wanted to buy her share, saw this in a comment, etc. I said I would only consider this option if my percentage was 51% or above, both names of the mortgage and deed. 4. Nothing, and we both do our own thing. My mother took the day to discuss these options and said she didn't feel comfortable not leaving anything for my sister when she passes. And like a lot of you guys said, I realized we just aren't compatible. I tried to tell her why I wanted it this way, so I would have financial security in the future, but also so I could help her. But she said I was being heartless to not consider my sister's future. She tried to negotiate option 3, but at only 50% guaranteed to me. I know that selfishly that's not a beneficial situation for me to be in, but I just can't bring myself to agree to that. I would pay for all of the deposit then 40% of the mortgage, and still just get half even if I didn't do the following. This would also set me back years to buy a house I would actually own. I was also worried after reading comments that she would go and leave her portion to my sister, making it 50-50 anyway. My mother said I was selfish for going back on my word and forcing her to choose between me and my sister, and that I should realize I'm a part of a family before seeing her or my sister again. I feel bad for putting conditions on this offer, but this was never a gift or anything like that. It was an opportunity for both of us to buy a house, but all of our options don't seem to be mutually beneficial. We haven't talked for the past 2 days, and I don't really see the situation having much more closure to this. My plan is to finish school and work a few years before committing to buying a home, but thank you for all the advice you have given me. I'm sad that it ended like this, but hope not too much damage was done in the long run. Your mother is very worried about the prospect of not leaving an inheritance for your sister, yet it seems to have escaped her notice that if you pay for half of the house and end up with 50% while your sister also gets 50%, she has left nothing to you. You would be tying up a lot of money for decades, missing out on other opportunities for investment in order to facilitate an inheritance for your sister. I think that you're better off not being part of this. Save your resources to buy your own home. Yeah, Opie's mother was definitely planning on leaving her entire half to the sister. I could understand it if the Opie's mother felt that it would be unfair to leave the sister with nothing, but at minimum, the Opie should end up with 75% of the house. The half she would pay for plus half of the mother's half as an inheritance. Given the mother's attitude, I think that the Opie should steer clear. If the mother is determined to make sure that the sister ends up with 50% of the house, she could be capable of doing whatever it takes to achieve this goal, even if it means going against an agreement made with the Opie. For example, even if the house is purchased as joint tenants, the Opie's mother can sever the joint tenancy, which would leave them as tenants in common, and she could then will her share to the Opie's sister. Likewise, she could promise the Opie whatever percentage of her share she liked, and then make a will leaving everything to the sister. Even if the Opie was able to get her to sign a contract regarding the inheritance of the house, it could cost more than the house would be worth to enforce it in court. The reality is, without you, your mom isn't leaving your sister anything. You are paying for your sister's inheritance. There is no scenario here where you are not transferring your wages to your sister. You're better off just buying your own house in your own name and letting your mom live with you. Yes, I really don't understand why this wasn't the plan all along. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my son to get over himself, man up, and stop publicly calling his wife a deadweight? My son and his wife are 25 and 27, and I'm 45. They both worked full-time until a few months ago when his wife had to stop for reasons that aren't mine to share. And my son has become insufferable. It recently culminated in me telling him he needed to stop whining about the situation and man up. I love my son very much, but he's always online posting about how hard he has to work, or going on unprovoked monologues about the stresses of being a family sole breadwinner. He does this openly, doesn't even try to hide it from his wife. It clearly makes her feel bad, or like she's not pulling her weight. Since he also talks about having to do everything around the house and care for his wife since she's on IR for now. I talked to her, and she told me she wasn't bothered by anything but him claiming he does everything at home. Because according to her, he doesn't. When I pointed everything out to him, he said, well, you and her can't understand what it's like to be the sole income of a household, and that he should ask Dad, since he could tell you. His father was the sole breadwinner for a long time. I work too now, though, but yes, he knows what it's like. But he, his father, or my father were never this dramatic. I never once heard my husband or Dad express any worry over bearing the entire burden. These were men. They didn't do that. They manned up and kept it moving. Sure, they may have felt a little uneasy about it, but they didn't dwell on it. And they certainly didn't belittle their wife's contributions and lie about doing everything at home as well. My daughter pointed out that he is my son, and I should be standing up for his wife if it means putting him down. But I'm just tired of him moaning and groaning in person and online about his situation, along with basically saying his wife is not pulling her weight. At its below, I've seen several people point out that my dad and husband aren't from this generation and reference today's economy. But I have to point out that my son-in-law is the sole breadwinner, and he doesn't badmouth my daughter or whine about things. My 19-year-old nephew works two lower-paying jobs to pay the bills for his girlfriend and their newborn. So it's literally only my son who whines about his situation, while expecting sympathy for staying with his basically helpless wife. It isn't okay with me. I'm not sure what your son thinks he's going to gain by shaming his wife in public like that, but nothing wrong with you telling him to deal with it. He is possibly not thinking tactically, but if he continues, I see a divorce in my crystal ball. And all these exaggerating social media posts about being the sole breadwinner are going to be fantastic for Opie's son when it comes time to calculate alimony. No offense, but what planet is your daughter living on? It's okay to love your son unconditionally, but you also can't let him say these sort of things. And the fact that you won't reveal what's wrong with his wife only proves that it's bad, and he shouldn't say these things. Edit. The daughter I'm referring to is the one that Opie mentioned in the final paragraph. Unconditional love means I love you when you're being a jerk and an idiot. Also means I'm going to tell you that you're being a jerk and an idiot. And I'm going to tell you to do better because I know you can be better. Unconditional love doesn't mean that I think the sun shines out your rear end 24/7 and that you leave rainbows in the toilet. The phrase man up is a little outdated. Maybe you could say grow up instead because he's acting like a little brat. Just because you're his mother doesn't mean you have to put him on a pedestal and take his side in every single situation. Good for you for calling him out. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for hiring a babysitter to watch my son when my ex had an emergency? My 30 male ex-fiancé, 28 female, and I have a 3-year-old son together. We broke off our engagement just over a year ago and have a 50-50 custody split. We split time with our son every 2 weeks as my ex moved over an hour away and making the drive every week was too much. Since switching to the 2-week schedule, it has been better for everyone. I just started dating again a few months ago and I have been seeing someone quite regularly for about 6 weeks now. This past weekend we had a date scheduled for Saturday night at a nice restaurant and tickets to go see a show. It was supposed to be our first nice dress-up date, as our previous times together have been more informal, like coffee, walks in the park, bowling, etc. Early Saturday morning my ex calls me. She's frantic and tells me she needs me to come get our son because she's having a family emergency. Apparently her sister was in a car accident and she's in a hospital a few hours away. My ex wants to go immediately as it seems pretty serious, but she doesn't want to haul our son with. I agree right away and get to my ex's place as soon as I can. When I get home with my son, I contact my date and let her know that an emergency came up and I now have my son. I apologize and tell her I probably have to cancel our date. She says she understands, but asks if I would consider hiring a babysitter and she has a friend who is a nanny and she might be available. She says we can skip dinner and just go to the show, so that my son will be almost asleep by the time I would have to leave. I think that's a pretty good idea, so she says she will reach out to her friend. Her friend was free and agreed to babysit, so I get her contact info and talk over the plan with her. By the time she arrives at my place, my son is already asleep, and I have just enough time to meet my date at the show. I put my phone on silent for the show, and when I checked it after the show ended, my ex had called a few times and left a bunch of texts. I excused myself to call her. She immediately flipped out on me for not answering, and it made her think something terrible happened, especially with her mindset with her sister's accident. I told her that our son was at home asleep with a babysitter as I was out on a date. This made her flip out even more, and she told me if she knew I was going to pawn our son off on a babysitter so I could go on a date, she would have never called me to get him. She said this is a huge breach of trust, and it makes her seriously question my judgment. I told her our son was fine and tried to ask about her sister, but she told me not to try and change the subject. She called me an a-hole and told me she would be coming to get our son as soon as she can. The whole thing pretty much ruined my evening. My ex got our son yesterday afternoon and we fought about it. I don't think I did anything wrong, but she sure does. Not the a-hole. Adults have lives and sometimes that requires a babysitter to stay home with the kids. Does she expect your son to never ever be without one of you? I'm actually so surprised by the anti responses. There's using a sitter and there's this. 1. Not introducing sitter to the child. 2. Having son fall asleep before the sitter, who is a stranger, shows up. 3. Not telling child about going out and sitter being there. Edit. Apparently I did tell kid at least. 4. Leaving phone on do not disturb so calls aren't heard during an entire movie. 5. Having this potentially be the child's first ever experience with a sitter at dad's house. This comment says never used one before. 6. For a 3-year-old, this is kind of breaking every rule of getting a sitter. Maybe for an emergency I could see some of it, but for a date? He's lucky that kid stayed asleep. Had kiddo woken up? It could have been very upsetting. Does she expect her son to never ever be without one of you? This is such a total misrepresentation of the problem here. You're the a-hole. You're the a-hole. Not for the idea of a babysitter, which is how you're trying to position this. 1. You never mentioned any scheduled conflict to your ex, so she assumed you would be caring for your son. You should have touched base with your ex when you later decided to keep the date and hire a sitter. That would have given your ex the option to come back if she felt uncomfortable about it. 2. You should have had your phone on vibrate in the movie, so you could at least be aware of your ex, or the babysitter, trying to reach you. Really irresponsible for a parent. Your date night shouldn't supersede your obligation to care for your son, especially when he has never been left with a sitter. And this is a sitter you don't even know. Throw COVID in there as well as a concern. Your girlfriend is an a-hole for suggesting this plan.